Hi, this is Mike from Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To, and today we're going to take a look at a fantastic budget power supply from Riotoro. Okay, welcome back to the channel. This is a quick unboxing and overview of the Riotoro Onyx 650W semi-modular power supply. Now you're probably wondering, who are Riotoro? I haven't heard of them. Well, a lot of people haven't. They're quite a new company. They've been a long-standing OEM for a lot of case and power supply manufacturers over the years. If you look at some of their design language, you'll probably see it in other power supplies. Now this actual power supply, they've actually subcontracted out to another company, I believe, which is, I think it's Goodwill or Green Rose or something. I'm not too sure of the exact details, but I have researched this power supply on Johnny Guru's website, and he's rated it very highly. So if it's good enough for Johnny, it's good enough for me. And at the price this is at the moment in the UK, you can't go wrong. This is aimed as a kind of direct competitor to the Corsair 650W, the 650M, the modular power supply. Very, very similar in performance, very, very similar in testing. The only thing that this did actually lack slightly was the ripple control, which again, I'm no expert on, so I don't know what that means really. But again, I'll put the link to Johnny Guru's site so you can check it out for yourself and see the comparisons. But overall, he rated this power supply as being fantastic value for money. It's got a 80+ bronze rating. Now in testing, a lot of the testing actually came back in the silver range or even in the gold range. It only slightly narrowly missed out on the gold range in a lot of tests. So Riotoro, to their credit, have actually downgraded the 80+ rating, but are giving you a really good power supply, which will be better than your expectations. So that's enough about me telling you who they are and what they're about and what they do and the ratings, because you can look those up anyway. Let's have a look inside the box and see what we actually get for our money. Now, talking of money, this at the moment on amazon.co.uk is retailing for £49.94, so less than £50 for a 650W quality power supply with semi-modular cabling. It's a fantastic value for money. The equivalent product, I believe, from Corsair, the CX 650M, you're looking in the region anywhere from £55 to £65 depending where you buy it from, so as much as a sort of £15 saving on that purely for branding. But anyway, let's have a look and see what we get in the box. Now I actually opened this already and had a quick look on my live stream. If you want to get involved with the live streaming, then obviously click on subscribe, click on the chime button, and when I do a live stream you'll be notified. There was quite a few of us who had a good time on the live stream the other night, so hopefully we'll be doing it again very shortly. So anyway, in the box we get a installation manual or owner's manual. It gives you a few bits and pieces of information, but realistically it's a power supply. Most of you are going to be looking at this video or buying this product are enthusiast grade people. You've done this before hundreds of times and you're just looking for something good value for money but with the performance to match. So in the box also you get your set of screws, which is pretty much the norm, but also get a set of cable ties. Now there's like 10 cable ties in there, which is an unusual thing. I don't think I've ever had a power supply before where I've actually got cable ties included in the packaging. So that's a really nice little feature. So let's have a look at the cables we get. Now, like I said, it's a semi-modular cable. So the only cables that are captive on the power supply itself are your 8-pin EPS connector and your 24-pin CPU connector, like your main motherboard connector. Now these cables are actually a very nice gauge. I think it's 18 gauge. I'm not entirely sure. Again, I'm not an electronics expert, but from what I've read, I believe this is 18 gauge cabling, whatever that means. But as you can see, it's like licorice. So you've got very flat cables, but they're actually very good quality. They feel very robust. And whether or not it's because the cables are thick or because the plastic on there is a good quality plastic, they feel very robust. And if you've got a case which has got any sort of possibly jaggy edges, or you're routing it through holes where you're probably not meant to, I think you're going to be okay with these cables. They're not going to get easily nicked or damaged. So this, first of all, this cable, this is your dual 8-pin or 6-pin PCI Express connector. So you've got the standard connection which goes into the back of the power supply, and then you've got your two graphics card connectors PCI Express, so you can use the 6-pin or the 8-pin by just snapping those connectors together. If you're using two 8-pin cards like RX 480s or 580s, then you could probably get away with using that in SLI configuration, as long as obviously the wattage matches your build. So, graphics card connector. What else we got? We've also got a floppy drive adapter connector, which goes from Molex to floppy drive. Whether or not you're ever going to need that, I don't know. Some RGB type controllers may be using that kind of connector, or maybe if you've got a PCI Express card for maybe USB 3 or something like that, then maybe you could make use of that. But it's nice to see it, but I don't think many people will actually need to use it. So moving on to the SATA connection. So you've got about a 2-foot cable there, and you've also got 3 SATA connectors on the cable, and all of them are orientated in what I would say is the right way up. So the way the L shape works, you could put all your drives in like that just by bunching the cables together slightly. You don't have any of this odd stuff where the cables are upside down, you've got to start twisting cables. So for me, that's a really good thing, especially when you've got a bunch of discs in like an enclosure and you want to connect them all together. You don't want to be having to twist the cables, especially if you're struggling with cable management size at the back of your chassis, or even at the front of your chassis for that matter. So you get 2 of those in the packet. So you can connect up to 6 SATA drives straight off. And your next cable is your accessory cable. So these are the slightly older fashioned Molex connections. Again, I would imagine most people who are using this power supply, or for our modern builds, you probably won't need this at all. Although if you do, I've noticed the Riotoro, the CF500 case has got illumination on the front of the bezel, on the front of the, bezel, that's right. On the front of the bezel, there's an illumination which still insists on using a Molex connector. So this might come in handy. So that takes us on to the power supply itself. So the power supply has got a 120mm fan, which is a thermally controlled rifle bearing fan. So it's going to be pretty much inaudible under most loads. Under higher load, obviously the fan's going to ramp up and it will become audible, but not massively so, at least that's what I'm hoping. Now, for those of you that don't like the branding on the side, if you've got a more open chassis, these badges on the side look like they're removable. They're not printed onto the actual metal, so that will peel off. So if you want to go for that kind of stealthy black look or neutralize the build, then those stickers will come off on both sides. And the top one as well, with all the power ratings, that one they're raised stickers, so that will in fact come off if you wanted it to. So for the aesthetic value, gets a plus from me on that. So look into the connections on the back. So on the back, like I said, you've got your 3 connectors which come out of the box. So 2 SATA and 1 Molex, so you can stick all those in your peripheral and SATA connections. And next to that, you've got your graphics card connectors, your PCI Express connectors. You only get 1 cable in the box, but you do have an option to add another cable. I've not seen on Riotoro's site whether they offer that as an extra. Maybe you could email them and say, look, I need another cable, can you sort me out? They may well send you one. I'm not going to say they will, I'm not going to say they won't, but it's a possibility. So that is the connections on the back. Again, all of this is done in black plastic. So again, if you're looking to sort of minimize or neutralize the colors inside your rig, then this is a great way of doing it. You haven't got any kind of big red connectors or whatever in the back there. So the connectors themselves. So the motherboard connector is quite a big fat connector, although it is braided, so it will be hidden quite easily. It's quite a long connection as well, so it should reach most full towers quite easily. And a nice feature I think personally is they've left a little bit of the cabling open there rather than sheathing it right up to the end. So if you're putting it through a grommet or something and you want to bend it kind of right back on itself in that kind of thing, you can do that and it's going to be quite stealthy. And again, the black wiring, quite thick, good quality, but because of its neutral colors, going to hide pretty much in the background in any build. So that takes us to the last connector, which is your 8-pin or 4-pin EPS. Now this is split into 2 lots of 4, so if you only want to use the 4, then that's fine. I don't think there's any way they could have really done that any nicer. Again, you've got really nice gauge cabling, and the plastic feels very sturdy. So again, if you're routing it through any kind of bare metal, I don't think you've got any worries whatsoever about the cables becoming snagged or damaged. So that pretty much wraps up this quick overview and unboxing of the power supply. If you want more technical details on it, which I'm not in a position to give you. I'll click on the link. I will provide you a link at the bottom so you can click on the site for Johnny Guru. He rates it very highly. I really like the look of it. The price is right for me. So take my word or not, entirely up to you. But if you want a really good power supply for not a lot of money, this has got to be one of your options to look at. So I've been Mike, this is Mike's Unboxing Reviews and How To. If you've liked this video and you like this content, click on the like button. If you dislike it, then click on the dislike button, but tell me in the comments why you disliked it and we will have a discussion. So that pretty much wraps this up. Thank you all for watching and we'll catch you again in the very next video.